The forest was silent, too silent for Earth. The air was heavy, and the sky above was not the sky of home. The trees were tall, their bark silver like metal, their leaves glowing faint blue in the darkness. Strange insects hummed, their wings sharp as blades. The ground was damp and smelled of ash, as if a fire had swept through long ago. A group of humans stood together, confused and afraid. They did not remember how they came here. One moment they had been living their ordinary lives, sleeping, working, walking through streets or fields, and then there was a flash of light. When their eyes opened again, they were standing in this alien forest. Some cried, others whispered questions. A man in his 40s tried to calm them. His voice shook, but he forced strength into it. "Stay together. Do not move too far." His eyes darted from tree to tree. He felt something was wrong. Something was watching them. Far above, shapes moved through the branches. Not human shapes. Tall, armored hunters with masks that glowed red and weapons that hissed with energy. They spoke in a strange tongue, their voices low and sharp. Their words carried laughter. To them, this was sport. The hunters had chosen humans for a game. They wanted prey that would run, prey that would fear. And now the game was beginning. A sharp sound broke the silence, a horn, deep and metallic. The humans froze. From the trees, the hunters leapt down. Their bodies were covered in dark armor, their claws wrapped around alien rifles. They stood tall, taller than any man, and their eyes glowed behind their masks. One hunter raised his weapon and fired. A bolt of light tore past a young woman and struck the ground. The soil burned, smoke rising into the air. She screamed and fell back. The others scattered, panic breaking their thin line of order. The hunters laughed. They did not chase at once. They let their prey run, the way a cat lets a mouse run before the strike. They wanted fear to grow. Fear made the game sweet. The humans ran deeper into the forest. Branches tore at their skin. The glowing insects swarmed around them. Some fell, some stumbled, but the fear pushed them forward. They could hear the hunters behind moving slowly, calmly, enjoying the chase. But one man did not run blindly. He crouched behind a tree, his breath fast but his eyes sharp. He was not a soldier, not a fighter. He was a teacher, a man who had lived a quiet life. But now he watched the hunters carefully. He saw the way they moved, the way they laughed, the way they did not expect resistance. His mind whispered, "They think we are prey. But what if we are not?" The hunters closed in. One of them walked near his tree, scanning the ground with a strange device. The man's heart pounded. He picked up a stone, heavy and sharp, from the ground. His hands shook. The hunter turned, its mask glowing, its weapon humming with deadly energy. The man waited, every muscle tense. The hunter raised its weapon, aiming at another human who had fallen to the ground. In that instant, the man swung the stone with all his strength. The stone cracked against the hunter's mask. Sparks flew. The hunter staggered back with a growl, its weapon firing into the air. The blast lit the trees like lightning. The other humans looked up in shock. For the first time, they saw that the hunters could bleed. The injured hunter fell to its knees. Black blood dripped down its chin. The man stood over it, breathing hard, stone still in hand. His eyes burned with something new, not fear but fire. The other hunters roared in anger. They fired into the forest, their weapons cutting trees apart, their laughter replaced with rage. The humans screamed and ran again, but this time something had changed. They had seen it. The hunters were not gods. They were not invincible. The man who had struck the blow shouted to the others, "They can die! They can die like us!" His voice echoed through the forest. For a moment, hope flickered in the darkness, but the hunters were many and their weapons were strong. They spread out, surrounding the humans again. The chase was far from over. A young boy clung to his mother's arm as they ran. His eyes wide, he asked in a trembling voice, "Will they kill us?" His mother pulled him close, her voice breaking. "Not if we fight." The hunters advanced, their armor gleaming, their masks glowing. They thought the game was still theirs. But high in the trees, shadows moved. Humans were hiding, waiting, watching. The first strike had been made. The hunt had begun, and in the silence between footsteps and heartbeats, something shifted. The humans were no longer only prey. Deep inside, in the fire of fear, a new thought grew. What if we become the hunters? The forest shivered with tension. The night was not just a hunt anymore. It was a war waiting to happen. The night in the alien forest grew colder. The silver trees stood tall, their glowing leaves shaking in the wind. The humans moved carefully now, no longer running without thought. Fear was still heavy in their eyes, but there was something else too, a spark of defiance. They had seen it. A hunter could bleed. The group had split into smaller bands, hiding among rocks, in caves, and under roots of giant trees. The hunters searched slowly, their glowing masks cutting through the shadows. They no longer walked with lazy steps. They were alert now, their weapons ready. One hunter crouched near the stream that cut through the forest. Its claws dipped into the water, scanning for movement. Its mask made soft clicks as it tracked the heat of the riverbank. It did not notice the farmer hiding just above, pressed against a ledge of stone, clutching a jagged branch sharpened into a spear. The farmer's heart raced. His hands were rough from years of work, not from war. But tonight he held the spear with a strength he never knew he had. He looked down at the hunter, its armor smooth and shining, its weapon humming with power. He whispered to himself, "You are not a god. You are just flesh." The hunter straightened and turned. Its glowing mask caught the faint outline of the farmer above. It raised its weapon. The farmer did not think. He leapt. The spear struck deep into the hunter's chest. The alien roared, its weapon firing into the water, boiling it into steam. The farmer pushed with all his weight, driving the spear deeper. The hunter staggered, clawing at the wood, but the strike was too strong. The alien fell to the ground, its mask cracking, its blood spilling into the stream. The water turned black. The forest went silent, as if even the wind paused to watch. The farmer stood over the body, chest heaving, eyes wide. He had killed one, a simple man with no training, no armor, no weapon beyond a sharpened branch. He had done the impossible. From the shadows, other humans watched. Their fear broke. They whispered to each other, their voices trembling but alive. "We can fight. We can win." But the hunters had also seen. From the trees above, two others dropped down, their roars shaking the forest. Their weapons lit up, beams of fire burning across the ground. The farmer ran, leaping into the shadows, just as the soil behind him exploded into sparks and smoke. The humans scattered again, but now their eyes burned with something new. Fear had not vanished, but it had changed. It had become fuel. One of the hunters followed a small group of humans deeper into the forest. The group included a young woman, her hair tangled with leaves, her face pale but determined. She held a rock in her hand, gripping it as if it were a sword. The hunter raised its rifle, laughing in its strange voice. But the humans did not run this time. They spread out, circling it. A boy threw a stone from behind, hitting the hunter's helmet. The alien turned in anger, giving the woman her moment. She rushed forward, striking the alien's leg with the rock. The impact made the creature stumble. Another man swung a broken branch into its side. The alien roared, firing wildly, the blasts tearing through the trees but missing their targets. Then the boy picked up the alien's dropped blade, a weapon that glowed with green light. His hands shook as he swung it. The blade cut through the alien's arm. The hunter screamed, its voice shaking the air. The humans attacked together. Rocks, branches, and bare fists rained down on the alien. At last it collapsed, its mask broken, its blood staining the dirt. The group stood around the fallen body, breathing hard. They had done it. Another hunter dead. In the distance, more alien voices rose. The hunters were angry now. They had lost two of their kind. Their game was changing into a war. The humans hid the weapons they had stolen and moved back into the shadows. The woman whispered to the boy who held the glowing blade, "Do not let it go. It is ours now." That night, the humans did not sleep. They gathered around a small fire deep in the forest, their faces lit by the flames. The teacher, the same man who had struck the first blow with a stone, looked at the others. "They think we are prey," he said softly. "But tonight we showed them. We are hunters too." The group listened, their fear quiet now, their spirits rising. Even the children sat silently, staring into the fire, their small fists clenched. Far above, on a cliff overlooking the forest, the alien leader stood with his mask glowing bright red. He watched the fire flicker below. His claws tapped against his weapon. The humans had surprised him. That was rare. That was dangerous. He growled a single word in his own tongue. His hunters straightened, ready for orders. The hunt was no longer sport. Now it was war. But in the forest below, the humans were changing too. The fear had turned into fire, and fire spread fast. The first kill had been made, and it was only the beginning. The fire in the forest was small, but the light in the humans' eyes was growing. They sat close together, their bodies bruised and their clothes torn, yet none of them spoke of surrender. They had killed 2 hunters. That truth burned brighter than the flames. The teacher looked at the group. His voice was low, steady. Fear is still in us. I feel it in myself. But fear does not mean weakness. Fear keeps us alive. Tonight we use it as fire, the farmer nodded. His hands still shook from the spear he had driven through the alien's chest, but his eyes were sharp now. They think they own the night. They think we run. We will show them we do not run anymore. The woman who had struck an alien with a stone leaned forward. Her hair was tangled, her hands cut and bleeding, but her voice was strong. We must work together. One alone will die. Many together will live. The boy who carried the glowing alien blade held it tight in his lap. The green light shimmered across his face. He whispered, "They fear this." I saw it in their eyes. They did not expect us to hold their weapon. Around the circle, heads nodded. The humans were changing. They were no longer a scattered herd of prey. They were becoming a pack. Far in the forest, the hunters searched. Their roars echoed through the night, their glowing masks cutting through the shadows. But their steps were slower now, less certain. They had lost 2 of their kind. The laughter that once filled their voices was gone. The alien leader stood on the ridge above. His mask glowed a deeper red now, burning like hot metal. He gave orders in a sharp tongue, and his hunters obeyed. But in his chest, he felt something he had not felt in years, a flicker of unease. The next day, the humans began to build. Not homes, not shelters, traps. The forest gave them weapons, sharp rocks, vines, heavy branches, and hidden pits. The farmer showed them how to tie vines into snares. The teacher taught them how to signal with whistles of birds. The woman guided them to move quietly, to hide their tracks in the dirt. Children carried stones. Elders sharpened sticks. Every hand had a purpose. When the hunters came again, they did not find prey. They found resistance. One hunter pushed through the undergrowth, its rifle humming. Suddenly the ground cracked beneath its feet. It roared as it fell into a pit lined with sharpened stakes. Black blood splashed against the soil. The hunter struggled, but vines wrapped tight around its legs, pulling it deeper. The humans did not wait. They rained stones and spears down until the alien stopped moving. Another hunter chased a group near the stream. But when it crossed the water, logs hidden upstream rolled down, striking it with crushing force. It staggered, its weapon lost to the current. The humans attacked from all sides, shouting with fury, their sticks and rocks breaking its armor. The alien fell, its mask shattering against the stones. The forest that once hid the humans now fought with them. The hunters grew restless. Their roars turned from laughter to anger, from anger to fear. They fired their weapons wildly, burning trees and blasting rocks. But the forest was vast, and the humans were everywhere. The boy with the glowing blade stood at the edge of a cliff, looking down at the valley below. He held the weapon high, its light shining like a signal. Other humans gathered behind him, their faces dirty but proud. They had taken the enemy's strength and made it their own. That night around the fire, the teacher spoke again. His voice was firm, almost cold. "We are not only surviving, we are hunting. Every day we strike. Every day we grow stronger. They came for sport. They came for fun. But they will leave with fear." The woman nodded, her eyes burning. They thought fear was ours. But now it is theirs. The farmer added, "Each kill gives us hope. Each weapon we take gives us power. We are no longer prey. We are something else." the boy whispered. "We are hunters." Far above, the alien leader clenched his claws. He had seen enough. His hunters had fallen again and again. He snarled in his tongue, commanding the full strength of his warriors. The game was over. This was war now, but the humans did not tremble. They sharpened their spears, they set more traps, they gathered their courage. The fire inside them spread, turning fear into fury. The forest echoed with two kinds of cries, alien roars of anger and human shouts of defiance. The balance had shifted. The hunters were no longer in control, and as the stars shone cold above, one truth grew stronger in the night. Humanity was rising. The night was no longer owned by the hunters. The forest, once filled with the sound of alien laughter, was now heavy with silence. It was the silence of watchers, the silence of prey that had learned to stalk. The humans moved like shadows between the glowing trees. They did not run now. They waited. They listened. They learned. Every rustle of leaves, every hum of an insect, every snap of a branch told them where their enemies were. The boy with the glowing blade led a small group near the cliffs. The green light shimmered faintly as he raised it. Then he covered it with leaves to hide the glow. Behind him, the woman crouched low, signaling for quiet. The farmer carried a sharpened spear, his grip steady. The teacher followed at the rear, his eyes sharp, his mind calm. They were no longer strangers thrown together. They were a pack. In the valley below, two hunters walked side by side. Their weapons hummed, their masks glowed red. They moved slower now, scanning every shadow, their heads turning in uneasy jerks. The game they had once enjoyed was slipping from their claws. From the cliffs above, the humans waited. A rock rolled quietly down the slope, bouncing into the valley. The hunters spun at once, weapons raised, but nothing moved. That was when the ambush came. A net of vines dropped from above, woven strong by many hands. It wrapped around the hunters, pulling them to the ground. Before they could cut free, the humans leapt. The farmer's spear struck deep into one alien's chest. The boy's glowing blade sliced across the other's arm. The hunters roared, but their cries were drowned by human shouts. Rocks rained down. Branches swung. Fists struck. The valley shook with fury. When it was over, the hunters lay still, their masks broken, their weapons stolen. The humans stood together, their chests rising and falling, their faces hard. The boy whispered, "They are the hunted now." Far away, another group of humans prepared a trap near the stream. They stretched vines across the path, hidden under leaves. They dug pits and sharpened stakes. The woman guided them, her voice calm but fierce. When a hunter approached, its steps heavy, the trap sprung. The vines pulled tight around its legs, dragging it into the pit. It roared, but the roar turned to silence as humans drove spears down into its chest. For every alien weapon that fired, two humans answered with stone and wood. For every hunter that roared, a chorus of human voices rose louder. The forest that once belonged to the hunters was no longer theirs. It had become a hunting ground for humanity. The alien leader stood on the ridge again, his mask glowing like fire. His claws clenched. He had lost more hunters, too many. He gave sharp orders, his voice filled with rage. His warriors spread out, their weapons glowing, their armor shining. But anger was not strength. Anger was weakness. The hunters charged into the forest, firing into the shadows. Trees exploded, leaves burned, soil turned to ash. Yet the humans were already gone. They struck from behind, from above, from beneath the ground. They moved like ghosts, vanishing after every strike. One hunter chased a single man through the forest, laughing as it fired. But when the man dove behind a log, the hunter followed and fell into a pit. Spears thrust from all sides, piercing its armor. The laughter ended in a scream. Another hunter stood alone, its weapon glowing, scanning the darkness. Suddenly, a sharp whistle rang out, the call of a bird. The hunter turned, too late. Humans dropped from the trees above, their spears striking together as one. The hunters were no longer in control. They were being stalked, being studied, being destroyed. Around the fire that night, the humans spoke little. Their eyes told the story. They had hunted the hunters. They had won again. The teacher's voice was soft, but it carried weight. They thought fear was ours. Tonight they tasted it. Tomorrow they will drown in it, the woman added. They came with weapons of fire. We answered with the earth itself. The farmer clenched his fists. We are not their prey. We are their end. The boy held the glowing blade high. The green light shone against the dark sky, casting shadows that looked taller than they were. He whispered almost to himself, "They will never forget humans." Far above, the alien leader watched the light flicker through the trees. His claws dug into the ground. For the first time, he felt something heavy in his chest. Not anger, not rage, fear. The hunters had hunted countless worlds. They had crushed countless species, but never had the prey risen like this. Never had the prey hunted them. The silence of the forest was no longer their silence. It belonged to humanity now. And as the stars turned above, one truth was written across the night. The hunters had become the hunted. The forest was scarred. Trees lay broken, their silver bark burned black. Smoke rose from craters where alien weapons had struck. Yet through the destruction, the humans still stood. Bruised, hungry, and tired, but unbroken. The hunters had fallen one by one. Their armor lay shattered among the roots, their weapons stolen, their blood staining the earth. But the greatest danger still remained. On the ridge above, the alien leader stood tall. His armor was heavier, his mask brighter, glowing like molten metal. His claws gripped a weapon larger than any the others carried, humming with sharp energy. His hunters had been beaten, but he was no ordinary warrior. He was the master of the hunt. The humans gathered below. The teacher, the farmer, the woman, the boy with the glowing blade, all stood together. They knew this would be the final battle. The teacher spoke, his voice steady. "We do not run, not now. If we fall as hunters, not as prey." The woman lifted a sharpened spear. "This is our forest now. He dies here." The boy tightened his grip on the glowing blade. Its green light reflected in his eyes. He whispered, "We end it tonight." The alien leader roared, a sound like thunder, and leapt down from the ridge. The ground shook when he landed. He raised his weapon, firing a blast that split a tree in two. The humans scattered, rolling aside as fire burst around them. The farmer lunged first, thrusting his spear. The leader caught it with one claw, snapping it like a twig. The farmer fell back, but his strike gave the others an opening. The woman charged, swinging her spear into the alien's leg. Sparks flew, but the armor held. The leader roared again, striking with his weapon. The blast knocked her to the ground. She gasped for breath, clutching her side, but her eyes still burned with fury. The teacher called out, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Together! He cannot fight all of us at once." The humans swarmed. Rocks and spears struck the alien's armor. He swung his claws, knocking two men aside. His weapon fired again, burning the soil. But the humans kept moving, fast and relentless. The boy with the glowing blade ran forward. The leader saw him, and for the first time he hesitated. That weapon was his people's strength. To see it in human hands was an insult deeper than blood. He roared and swung his weapon down. The boy dodged, rolling beneath the blow, and slashed upward. The green blade cut through the leader's arm, sparks bursting as black blood spilled. The alien howled, staggering back. The humans shouted, their voices like a storm. The woman rose again, driving her spear into the leader's side. The farmer struck with a broken branch. The teacher hurled a stone into the glowing mask, cracking it. The leader fell to one knee, roaring in rage. His mask flickered, red light dimming. His breath came heavy, his claws trembling. The boy climbed onto a fallen tree, raising the glowing blade high. He leapt, his voice loud and fierce. "This is for all of us." The blade struck the leader's chest, cutting through armor, cutting through flesh. The roar of the alien turned into silence. The leader collapsed, shaking the ground as he fell. The forest went quiet. The humans stood still, their eyes wide, their bodies trembling. Then slowly they realized it was over. The leader lay dead. His hunters were gone. The game had ended. The boy pulled the glowing blade free and held it high. Its light shone against the night sky, brighter than the stars. The humans raised their voices in a cry that echoed through the valley, a cry not of fear, but of triumph. The teacher spoke, his voice cold but strong. They came to hunt us. They thought we were weak, but tonight they learned the truth. Humanity is not prey. Humanity is predator. The woman nodded, her hand pressed against her wound, her face fierce. Let them carry this story to the stars. Let them tell every world what happens when they try to hunt mankind. The farmer looked up at the sky, smoke curling above the trees. His voice was heavy but proud. We fought with stone and wood, but we defeated their fire. We are survivors. We are hunters. The boy lowered the blade, his small hands shaking but his eyes steady. They will fear us now. Above, the stars glittered cold and distant. Somewhere out there, other hunters might wait. Other species might look to Earth with hunger. But now, a warning had been carved into the galaxy. Humanity was no one's game. Humanity was no one's prey. The forest was silent again, but this silence was different. It was not the silence of fear. It was the silence of victory, and in that silence a new truth was born. Humanity had claimed its place among the stars, not as victims, but as predators.